What's up guys, welcome back to Toon Duelists. Today we're taking a deep look into the new set coming on the 18th of January, Maze of Millenia, the first set of the new year 2024. To give you a bit of an overview of what this set contains and what it has in store for you. So let's go. So first off we start this with an alternate artwork of Junk Warrior. I guess all of you know what this card does. It's just a cool reprint you get. Definitely something for the collectors. Beautiful if you ask me. Next up we have the Fighting Flame Swordsman. The first card of the Flame Swordsman archetype we get. It's basically a good searcher. And yeah, its second effect can like put cards in places where you need them to be. So it looks decent. Definitely depends on how the archetype will be played. It's hard to say if it will be any good. I don't think we'll see anything in the meta. Infernoble comes to mind. If you see a warrior fire archetype like this, they will probably be very cool rogue deck, and I love the artwork of all of those cards, but I don't think they will be too relevant in the current meta, just like it was with the Gatekeeper archetype. So the next card we get from this archetype, Salamandra, the Flying Flame Dragon. This card will probably be the #1 fusion target because it's the dragon. You need this for the other fusion cards. Also a searcher if it's used as fusion material and can equip itself from hand or graveyard. Cool retrain of Salamandra. So next up is Mirage Swordsman. Its effect basically old retrain of the original one's summoning conditions, I guess. But of course in this archetype it's more summonable than the original, of course. And the other effect that it destroys itself triggers its third effect. So yeah, I think probably a decent card in this archetype, but as I said, the archetype won't do much, I guess. So yeah, next up is what probably can be considered the boss monster, Ultimate Flame Swordsman. Specifically lists Flame Swordsman and Fighting Flame Dragon, so no Fire Warrior type monster or something like that. So yeah, that could be a problem, but we got other cards like, for example, Fusion Armament that makes this card way more playable. The effect is a nice little interruption with a little bit of burn damage. The doubling the attack with 2800 can be pretty devastating. Next card is the Fighting Flame Dragon. Way more generic, a dragon monster, fire warrior monster. You can equip this card as an equip spell from your field or graveyard, which is probably new. I don't think I know any fusion monster that has a similar effect, so yeah, pretty cool. 700 attack, alright, but the second attack of course comes in handy if you think about the last card we talked about. Alright, so next is Flame Sword's Realm. Your opponent can activate cards or effects when you normally summon a Fire Warrior monster. Alright, that's actually not too big of a deal, but of course it makes Flame Swordsman way more easy to access from your extra deck, which is probably the most beneficial effect of this card. The third effect can be useful. I don't see it's being too strong, but yeah. Next up is Salamandra Fusion. Even though it's called Fusion, it's an equip spell actually. So this basically not only gives 700 attack, it also protects the Flame Swordsman monster, and you can send the equipped monster and this equip spell to the graveyard and get out one Flame Swordsman or Fusion monster that mentions it. So it's basically also a quick way to your Flame Swordsman fusion monsters right here. So next up we have Fighting Flame Sword, a quick spell. You can either add a card from a deck that mentions Flame Swordsman, or you can pop a card when an attack is declared involving a Fire Warrior monster, or you can negate a targeting effect. So this seems like kind of a bit of a back row to try to do right here, but I don't think the protection is too good. The pop effect, yeah, okay, you might have an interruption, but yeah. The search effect is probably the best of this card if you ask me. Next up, Salamandra with Chain. Beautiful. We all know Kunai with Chain. Its effect is actually not that bad. The fact that it equips monsters is useful in this archetype, as we already talked about it or seen in the monsters especially. But the interesting thing here is that you can target an effect monster and put it into face down defense position. That can be pretty useful actually. Another good thing is that you can banish it and then basically fusion summon one of your Flame Swordsman fusion monsters. by shuffling the material from hand, field or graveyard into the deck, which is pretty good. But you have to destroy it in the end phase, but it can be a good extender to go into your bigger boss monsters. I definitely see some use of this in the archetype, of course, only. Next up is Flame Swords Dance. So the first effect is that if a monster is special summoned, you can special summon one of your Flame Swordsman fusion monsters and then book a monster on the field. Great interruption. And second effect is during your opponent's battle phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard and tribute one face down defense position monster and special summon a Flame Swordsman or monster that mentions it from deck or extra deck. It's alright, but as I already mentioned, it won't be meta relevant at all. Yeah, and basically that's already it for all the Flame Swordsman cards we got. 10 cards isn't really a lot. Don't think they will see any play on tournaments or anything. Of course, a fun road deck, beautiful archetype, another retrain of old cards Konami gives us right here, but yeah, I don't think it will see much play at all. So next up we have a card we already knew about, Eye of Illusion. Your illusion of spellcaster monsters can either not be destroyed by battle this turn. Another thing is you can take control of your opponent's monster until the end phase, and if your opponent monster declares an attack, you can target another face-up monster they control and change the attack target to it, and yeah, do damage calculation. I don't see much use in it. The protection is pretty weak. Okay, the taking control is pretty nice as a quick spell. I think that's something you should really keep an eye out. And the Magic Arm Shield effect, I don't know if that's doing anything. Alright, next up is a card I was pretty excited when I first saw it, Catyoptera. So yeah, what this card basically does is if your controller controls 2 or more face-up non-wind monsters, those monsters cannot target this card for attacks. I guess not the effect you really count on. The thing you count on is that during your main phase you can add a polymerization from your deck to your hand, and if this card is banished you can special summon it and add another polymerization from your graveyard to your hand. So all the Dino players will of course think about the Giant Rex, but this one lets you add a polymerization, which is way better than the Giant Rex. So actually I see all the Dino decks replacing Giant Rex with Catyoptera. That's my guess, especially if you think about the next card it releases, which is Hornsaurus, which needs Catyoptera and a dinosaur dragon monster. This card can not only attack directly with 2000, which is decent, but especially if it's fusion summoned, you can search any field spell from your deck or graveyard, which will be interesting to see what other decks might do with it, because just searching any field spell is pretty good. But the great thing in Dino decks about this card is that you have another normal summon each round for a Dino or Dragon monster. I definitely see this Catyoptera and Hornsaurus in upcoming Dino decks. Next up we have some Dark World support, colorless Chaos King of Dark World. If it's fusion summoned, you can basically pop the whole field of your opponent, which is pretty neat. Its attack and defense become the number of fusion materials used for its summon times 1000. As a quick effect, you can target a face-up card you control, discard a card, and if you do, your opponent cannot target that card with effects this turn. This protection is alright. The worst part is that the fusion material you need for it actually, because you really need Rainbow Overlord of the Dark World, which no Dark World deck I know plays. Of course, with Dark World Ascension this can be a great interruption. I'm not sure about this. I'm really not sure about this, so I really don't know. I guess we'll have to see what Dark World's players do with it. I don't think that's the new boss monster or something. Alright, next up we have Arcana Force, 15, the Fiend. What can I say? I don't think anyone plays Arcana Force. Of course, the Arcana Force cards classics from the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX era, but no one plays it. It will maximum be a collectible, not much. Alright, next up is Bonfire, generic searcher for level 4 lower Pyro monsters. Well, actually, not a lot of decks can make use of this. Of course, the Volcanic come to mind. They can make very good use of this. Outside of that, I don't see any use in it, so great for the Volcanic players, but I think the rest won't have too many use for this card, actually. Next up we have Combat Wheel, a generic level 6 Synchro monster. Has a protection against being destroyed by card effect. You place a a counter on this card and it gains a lot of attack, but if it's destroyed you have to destroy all your monsters. Maybe some decks will find a use for it. I can see the big use of it right now actually. Next we have a Ashoka Pillar. I'll just go over those cards real quick because of course they're also from the anime and that's probably the reason they printed it. So we have the Kosha Tower, the Carvera Stone, and Triangle Zero with the Crystal Skull. Crystal Skull was released a few sets ago. Same with Totem Pole. I don't see them being any relevant in the deck, just collectibles. Other than Earthbound release, where we have a lot of Earthbound cards in the set. Of course, everyone who occupied these will remember the Earthbounds. We have to see what these cards actually do. More interesting would probably be number 1, Infection Buzz King, our next generic rank 8 Xyz monster. Yeah, the sending one card from the extra deck to the graveyard can be pretty good actually. So we have a little destruction effect and also a little bit of damage right there. But I think more interesting is the last effect actually, where once per turn during your standby phase you can attach one card from an opponent's graveyard to this card as a material. So this could actually be a really good card because you can actually just grab from your opponent's graveyard whatever they want, whatever combo piece they might have in there. So I think number 1, Infection Buzz King is definitely also a card you should watch out for. I think this could actually see play. Then we have Photon Delta Wing. You can special summon another Delta Wing from hand or deck. Okay, so basically go into rank 4 I guess. Of course Photon, Galaxy Eyes kind of plays in this. I don't think it's really that good of a card. We have other cards that do rank or Xyz way more easy than this, without the restriction of only being able to summon light monsters. Don't think this card will do much. Next up is Armored Xyz. Of course, we all think about the Armored Xyz support we got last set. What this card basically does is you can equip one of your monsters with an Xyz monster in your graveyard, and I think the first 2 effects are actually trash. The last one can be useful. So the equipped monster's attack becomes this card, so most of the time you'll have the battle monster on the field and the low attack monsters are in your grave because they're the bridge to the big ones. So this will probably be lowering your attacks, your monster's attack. Attribute effect won't matter that much, but the last effect can be pretty good for like the last move, the last big attack to finish off your opponent. Because if the equipped monster attacked at the end of the damage step, you can send this card to the graveyard and the monster it was equipped to can make a second attack with its original attack. So this could actually be interesting. I'm really not sure about this. It fits great with the Armed Xyz support we got. It's searchable and all of that, but I'm not sure about this. So next up we have the card Ring Announcer, card for the Battlin Boxers. Actually, I don't play Battlin Boxers. I can't really tell you if it's good or not, but special summon Battlin Boxer from your hand and destroy spells or traps. Sounds good to me if you ask me. So next up is Earthbound Prisoner Groundkeeper. So now we go to the Earthbound block. This is one of the big blocks this set gives us, besides the Flame Swordman archetype. Basically, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can special summon another Earthbound monster directly from your deck or graveyard, except itself or Earthbound Spirit. So that's pretty neat. And you're also locked into Fusion and Synchro monsters, and also has a nice protection effect if there's a field spell. But yeah, basically it's a little bit the same with Battling Boxes. These Earthbounds, I tried to build a deck once and I was very disappointed, so I haven't really looked further into it since then. I can't really tell you about all the existing cards and how good they play together. Next up is Earthbound Prisoner Stonesweeper. Basically, if you have a field spell, you can special summon it. It also has this restriction with Fusion or Synchro monsters, and you can search a level 3 or lower Fiend Tuner, which would basically be the Earthbound Tuner we see right here, Earthbound Prisoner Linewalker. So if he's normal or special summoned, you can basically search Earthbound Prisoner or Harmonic Synchro Fusion from deck or graveyard to hand, so good searcher. So yeah, one thing it also does is you can banish it and then get one of your extra deck monsters from your opponent, shovel it into the deck, and he can special summon a monster with the same name from their extra deck. I don't think it will do much actually, but I also don't think Earthbound will be anything besides a rogue deck. So next up is Earthbound Servant Geokraken. Just 2 Earthbound monsters sounds good. Search effect for a field spell, but also this shows what the weakness of this deck is. It relies on your opponent doing something, so this effect can really go off. So only if they special summon from their extra deck, of course they will do most of the time, but yeah, I just don't see cards that have to wait for your opponent to do something, be really competitive or anything. So next one is Earthbound Servant Geogresha, fusion monster and a Earthbound Synchro monster. So you can see from the fusion requirements, this will probably be the boss monster since it's quite difficult. So yeah, and what it does is basically deal 3000 damage every time because it changes attack and defense to 0. If it destroys a monster, it pops the whole field of the opponent. Sounds good, of course, but it has really no protection if it leaves the field. You can special summon another Earthbound monster from a deck or extra deck. Okay, good follow-up, but I don't really... If that's really the boss monster and that's all they can do, I think I'll be right and it won't do much. Next up is Earthbound Servant Geogremlin, the Synchro monster. We get, here we go again with letting your opponent decide whether your cards work or not. You choose a monster and even he destroys it, or you gain life points to that monster's attack. I mean, he will always give you life points. Of course, it has the inbuilt fusion. That's pretty neat, yeah. Of course, you have to have all the right materials and quick effect during the battle phase. Okay, fusion summoning during the battle phase is basically not bad, but it will be bad if it's summoning Earthbounds. So yeah, I don't really think we will see a lot of those. Another Synchro Earthbound monster is Earthbound Servant Geogriffin. Yeah, basically lets you special summon Earthbounds from the graveyard, locks you into summoning Earthbounds this turn, and then deals a little bit of burn damage once it's destroyed or removed from field. Yeah, I don't see it doing much. Then we have Earthbound Prison. Basically negates on one of your opponent's monster's effects, which is okay. Yeah, lets you have another normal summon with Earthbound monsters, which is also okay. But then again, yeah, if it's destroyed at the great effect, half your opponent's life points and negate effects of all his cards he control is again in the hand of your opponent because it has to be destroyed by an opponent's card effect. I don't know if they can trigger this by, I don't know, giving your opponent any monster that has this kind of power and destroys this card. I don't really know, but as I've said, it sounds way too complicated for, yeah, not that much of use. Next up is Harmonic Synchro Fusion. Now this seems like it's basically for Earthbounds, and Earthbounds already search it, but it doesn't lock you into Earthbounds at all, and this is a card I think people will be creative with, because you have to send up 2 face-up monsters you control to the graveyard, a tuner and a non-tuner, and special summon a fusion monster and a synchro monster from your extra deck that can be fusion and synchro summoned using only the sent monsters. You'll see a lot of creative ways where people figure out what you can do with this, because we have so many generic fusion and synchro monsters. So I think this will be a card that will be pretty interesting. Next up is Phoenix Gearblade. Now that's a card I'm also excited for because I play Infernoble Knights. You can also equip it to a warrior or fire monster, conditions are met. Of course, this is also great for the Flame Swordsman archetype, of course. 300 attack, nobody cares about that. But if the equipped monster attacked at the end of the damage step, you can send it to the graveyard, and your warrior and fire type monsters can make a second attack during this battle phase. So this is huge OTK potential, because this applies not to the equipped monster but to all of your fire and warrior monsters. So this can be really sick. And of course, if you think about Infernoble Knights that use this a lot, if this card is sent to the graveyard or banished to activate a monster effect, you can add it back to your hand. So it's also recycles itself. So yeah, I think this is actually a good card for the Infernobles. Maybe some fire decks can also make use of it. Next up we have Drastic Draw, a card that seems pretty interesting. Drawing 3 is of course cool, banishing all your monsters, not that cool. I think people will find ways to, or creative ways to use that. I personally don't see it right now. Don't think this will do too much actually. And also we have Transaction Rollback, where you trap card where you pay half your life points and target one normal trap in your opponent's graveyard. This effect becomes dead trap cards when it's activated. You can banish this card from your graveyard, pay half of your life points again, and target one normal trap in your graveyard, and it again becomes the effect when that card is activated. So of course, first thing you think about will be Imperm, which is probably the only normal trap you will find in your opponent's graveyard regularly. If it's worth running this card, I really don't know. Next up we have Code Hack. Also a card for the Cyberse monsters. Yeah, so basically the Cyberse link monsters you control can't be destroyed by opponent's card effects, which is pretty nice. And once per turn during the battle phase, you can change the opponent's monster attack to 0. None takes damage, no monster gets destroyed, so also nice protection there. And if your opponent activates a card or effect, while control a Code Talker, you can banish it from the graveyard, negate the activation, and it gains 700 attack. I'm really not sure if this will find a way into the Code Talker or Cyberse decks. Actually, Cyberse or Code Talker decks are very combo based and have better traps they can search out, and I don't think this card will see much play actually. And yeah, that's already it for basically new cards. Now we have some reprints: Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast for the Illusion type. Of course, it comes with Gazelle and it comes with Burfermeat. Of course, it does Double Warrior or Doppel Warrior, whoever needed that. Jet Synchron is actually pretty nice. Satellite Synchron is okay, I guess. Desynchro is a good reprint, I think. Synchro Chase is not that much needed actually. Then of course you have all the Earthbounds being reprinted in the set. Of course, 100 Ice Dragon 2, classical card, and all the Earthbound traps again. Then of course all the Armored Xyz 2, Crystallo Lancer, Full Armored Black Ray Lancer. Then we have some Supreme King support too, all reprints, so I won't be talking about them too much. Gate Infinity also in here. Can't really tell you a lot about the Supreme King archetype. I haven't played that too much. Not a big fan of all the pendulum things actually, so haven't looked into it that much. So maybe let me know in the comments if these are good reprints or not. I really can't tell. Honestly can't tell. Then we have the Altergeist reprints. Very nice. I love Altergeist. Love to play this deck. Yeah. Cool reprints if you're looking to build the deck again, I guess. So all the important Altergeist monsters are basically here. Hextia, for example, or most of all, Protocol. Oh, then this one is actually pretty cool. Ancient Chan with the Ring Dragon of Ra. Haven't seen a reprint in eternity and is pretty expensive. So yeah, pretty cool that this card gets a reprint, as well as Millennium Revelation, all those Raw cards. Haven't seen a replay in a long time. Then okay, Magic Spectre, I don't know about those actually, so I don't really care to be honest, but all reprints, guess they're filler. The next ones are pretty spicy actually. All the Rescue Ace cards get reprints too. They are doing very good in tournaments at the moment, so now they're available again. This will basically be Konami's #1 argument to sell this set. So they have all the reprints in here. And then finally we have Triple Tactics Thrust. So in a pack like this, where they basically give you new Earthbounds and a new Flame Swordsman archetype, they just throw in Triple Tactics Thrust. Awesome card. So and one people missed in Anniversary Collection, I think. Yeah, that's basically all 84 cards we have in this set. So should you buy it or should you not buy it? Well, I'll be honest with you, the Flame Swordsman archetype won't do much. I'm pretty sure about that. It's a cool retrain. I love the artwork of the cards. If you want to go for it and you want to build this deck, then you can also consider buying a display or maybe two. And I also guess they won't be that expensive from the competitive side. I don't think they will be required or expensive. Of course, as I said, Eye of Illusion, maybe. Catoptera and Hornsaurus, definitely should look out for those if you play Dinos. I'm pretty sure they will hit hard. Then Colorless, yeah, maybe. Really can't tell. Then of course the Capoeira Stone Triangle, Zero Totem Pole, all of this stuff for the collectors only. #1 Infection Busking, also something you should definitely look out for. I think this card will actually also be pricey because I see good use of it actually. Then we have Armored Xyz, talked about that, don't know if it's that important. All the Earthbound Prisoner cards or Earthbound cards in general. Yeah, I don't see this archetype do a lot. If you're a fan of the Earthbounds because of the old 5D days, go for it, build the deck. I guess you can have fun with it. I don't have much experience with the Earthbounds. I can't tell you if these cards are good or if they make the deck more playable or not. Don't recommend it from from the meta perspective or from competitive play. Harmonic Synchro Fusion, as I mentioned, we should look out for this. I guess people come up with crazy combos here. Then for the reprints, the Chimera things won't matter that much. Jet Synchron is a nice reprint, but it wasn't expensive or isn't expensive right now, so won't do much. Can't talk about the Supreme King stuff much. Aldergeist is not that expensive too. Ancient Chant and Millennium Revelation, the raw cards, they are very needed. They were very pricey, so yeah, good reprints right there. And then of course, for the last cards, they give us the Rescue Ace package and Triple Tactics Thrust. These will definitely be the top sellers of this set, I think. Only if you really want to build like the Flame Swordsman deck and maybe the Earthbound deck too, then of course go for it, have fun opening the packs and enjoy those nice artworks. But if you're only looking for the cards that really change something in competitive game, you're really advised to only pick some of those cards. In general, I don't see this set going through the roof actually. But hey, you never know what people do and what combos they think of and what they will find. Guys, that's it for my review of this set. If you like the content, don't forget to like, follow and subscribe. We put a lot of effort in this to keep you informed as quick as possible. Guys, stay tuned, have a good one, and I'll see you the next time.